Welcome into Brady's Breakdown, the Five Reasons Sports Network. I'm Brady Hawk, and I want to dive into some more film after the Heat's latest win over the Spurs. There was a lot of headlines. Bam's early aggression, Tyler Hero's late takeover in the fourth quarter after the recent struggles. But there were some other things that stood out, which is what I'm going to get into. So let's hop right into it. In this first play, we're going to see, early offense from the Heat. They're going to work it into Bam per usual. What you're going to want to see is Duncan Robinson right here. Duncan Robinson was not one of the headliners in this game, but when you rewatch it, there was a lot of moments that you basically point out and say he was the reason for their offense clicking. And later, we're going to point out some of the defensive things he actually stepped up in as well. But right here, we're going to look at Duncan Robinson coming up here to set the screen almost, which is what they're expecting. The defender steps back, that they're looking for Bam on a back cut. He slips the screen, comes around for the dribble handoff, two defenders in his face, and he still hits it. But that's what he needs to do on these instances, that he has to find open space on the process before getting the ball, because they're basically crowding the three-point line any chance he gets, and those type of plays really get him that head start. Let's head into the next one. We're going to see a defensive possession. We've talked a lot about the switching with this team, that it's caused problems at times. Bam over switching, it leads to Duncan Robinson right here either getting on a big. But this is when it works. When you get a guy with Keldon Johnson taking it in on Bam, thinking he has the advantage, but Bam contests, forces a miss right here. Now Miami's going to get into their transition offense. And as you see right here, when Jimmy Butler has the ball going into transition offense, you feel really comfortable about it. So now we're going to go. They have a 3-on-4 with four Spurs, all looking at Jimmy Butler, except the one trying to keep up with Kendrick Nunn, who is pretty fast without the ball when he's trying to get down the court. And Jimmy Butler bounces the ball right here in a spot that only possible for a Kendrick Nunn to get it in motion. He converts on a layup. And these are the type of plays, once again, that Miami has to, pounce on with their defense to offense mentality, that they rely on their defense, especially on a night like last night when that was basically what willed them to win late. Here's another one, Kendrick Nunn playing next to Goran Dragic. This is not the reason of this play, but it is something to mention that we're seeing a three-guard lineup right now with Tyler Herro, Goran Dragic, and Kendrick Nunn. But last year, Kendrick Nunn and Goran Dragic were unplayable together. Their minutes together were not very good. And a big reason that it's capable this year is because he's become such a better player off the ball. Nunn is becoming much better as a catch and shoot player, different things like that. And it's really helped him. These lineups grow with the lack of big of wings like Andre Iguodala, who was out last night. So here we go. We're going to see this play run, work it into Bam once again. But as I go back a little bit, you're going to want to watch Tyler Herro. Tyler Herro, another guy that struggled, but it's becoming a thing that he's just going to have to try to find open looks in motion, because that's where it seems he's, basically at his best, when he's on the move a bit. So here he gives that slight fake right here when Goran looks like he's setting a screen for him. The defender jumps out that way, gets him a sliver of open space right here. Bam gets it to him. He gets a three, knocks it down. Those are the type of plays that are so important for him. He's going to need to do that more and more, because he's got to find a rhythm, and he did last night, starting with that shot, and obviously later in the fourth quarter when he really got it going, as I'll mention and show later. So here we go. Another one. Kendrick Nunn, Goran Dragic working in together on the same quarter, on the same floor as well. Once again, here we go. As we go back a little bit, Kendrick Nunn is utilized in the same way as Duncan Robinson in these lineups, because he has to try to set these type of screens to force mismatches to get guys like here, as we see Bam getting on a smaller defender. So Kendrick Nunn, Bam sets that screen, forcing Kendrick Nunn to cut. Now Deontay Murray's guarding Bam Adebayo. So now we're going to see Bam try to punish that mismatch. He kicks it out right here. Tyler gets it back to him. He takes it in for a nice mid-range jumper, gets the foul and the bucket. And it is important for him last night to hit those mid-range jumpers, because against their drop coverage, it was really important for him to not only take those jumpers, but take advantage of them throughout the night. And he really did early on. And that's what basically, kept them in it when Jimmy Butler wasn't being aggressive early on. So here we go again, midway through the second quarter. We're seeing another instance of Duncan Robinson being effective. So now let me go back a little bit. Duncan Robinson, similar to the one earlier, comes up, try to set the screen, and slips it. So Jimmy Butler basically gets a runway to the court because of that instance earlier. If I show it one more time, it was the opposite way. They kind of fell back for the Butler drive, for the Butler cut before, but now we're seeing, Duncan Robinson's flowing. They jump out at Duncan Robinson both. Jimmy Butler gets a dunk. So these are the types of things that Duncan Robinson does that is just so key for their offense. He really just does the little things for this team to basically get them open looks, not only at the rim, but also on the outside, as we see when they constantly blitz him, and then they try to find the open guy. Here's another one with Jimmy Butler getting into Bam Adebayo in the offense. Duncan Robinson once again. It's really interesting, as I mentioned one more time, that Duncan Robinson was not a headliner of this game because it seems like there were so many things that you can point out that he did well uh, throughout this to basically keep them afloat. And this is an instance right here that he is, trying to grow in, and he really has in this past stretch of time since the trade deadline. That when he's moving downhill, he's making much quicker decisions. I asked Bam Adebayo about that after last night's win, and he basically talked about his level of work that he's trying to improve on every aspect of his game, uh, getting in the gym early and leaving late and things like that. But as we see right here, as I go back, Duncan Robinson's going to flow into a pick and roll. They have a 2-on-1 opportunity. Last year, these were, moments of hesitation. But as we see right here, he waits, takes it in strong, lays it in. And something surprising is that he's very good around the rim. It just comes down to him getting there, on a nightly basis consistently. Let's get into the next one. Another defensive possession. I do want to talk about KZ Okpala here because, Trevor Ariza did not have the best night. Even defensively, there were some miscues. There was some, bad rotations. And without Andre Iguodala, KZ Okpala was the wing off the bench. And he really did step up. Not a great offensive night at all, but he did give them what they needed on the defensive end. And as we see right here, here's one instance. They're going to, force a switch. KZ Okpala is going to switch on to DeMar DeRozan. They're going to run a bit of an ISO. And as you see right here, he's going to try to back him down a bit. But, KJ Paula, the next stage for him is going to be improving on that strength because he already has a bit of strength. His length is his advantage. And as you see right there, he forced a miss. And now Miami's basically going to flow right back in the offense and hits Duncan Robinson on a back cut. Duncan Robinson's going to flow around this quickly. Another instance of, Duncan Robinson doing that. As I go back a little bit more, take a look at, once again, both defenders flashing eye on him, forcing that pocket pass that he's made improvements in. So here he comes around, two defenders step up, Bam Adebayo gets a runway to the floor, and, it ended up getting reversed. He gets a nice and one dunk. It was reversed. It was called a charge, but still, these are moments that are getting them open looks. And when Bam Adebayo is doing things like that, just shows, his growth and his initiation in their offense. Let's go to another one. This was very key for Miami. We could talk about different players stepping up defensively, but this was a coaching night. It really was. They threw this 2-2-1 press at them. They threw back into a 2-3 zone time and time again, and that really threw them off for the third quarter. I think there was a 5-minute spurt where the Spurs did not have a made field goal. So these type of things are really key for them, as we see right here, just pressuring the ball. Trevor Ariza, even though I mentioned the defensive struggles last night, he's still very good with guarding smaller guys on the perimeter like this. So it's a perfect role for him whenever they want to go to a press like this. And as we see right here, they're backing in to a 2-3 zone. And, every time they play a 2-3 zone, an opposing player basically always points out that their 2-3 zone is unlike any other. And the reason for that is we see they basically switch when they're in their zone. The top two on the 2-3 zone are basically just it's a revolving door that you can never get any open space when they try to screen or anything like that. There's a reason why players always say that. So now as we see, Duncan Robinson playing the bottom of this, trapping, this is another moment of him just kind of improving defensively, showcasing his ability to, step up in that area. They keep trying to attack him. If you look at the guys on the floor, obviously he's the spot on the zone that they're going to try to attack, because you see two different players in the same possession try to do that. He gets a good contest, forces a miss. They do get an offensive rebound right here. They kick it out. Kendrick Nunn does a good job of recovering, contesting, and forcing another miss. So these are the type of things the zone kind of creates and the press kind of creates, and we're going to see it again in a minute right here. Let me go back a little bit. Duncan Robinson, another one from him, comes up off the dribble handoff and basically forces two guys to flash high, pocket pass to Bam Adebayo, and gets an easy dunk is the thing that we're going to see more and more until teams realize they're going to have to cover that Bam role, and it's going to create extra opportunities for Duncan Robinson. So now, once again, the 2-2-1. It was basically a soft 2-2-1. They're just basically pressuring them. But as we see right here, they're basically first getting into their action. If we look at the shot clock right now, it's 16 seconds. That's the point of it. You're forcing, their offense to, speed up when they have to run their first action, a third of the way into the shot clock. So as we see here, Duncan Robinson still stands strong, gets a contest. And that's another part. Duncan Robinson, he's not been used at a top of a 2-3 zone whenever it's being used. And last night, he was utilizing that spot, and that's kind of shows, the trust levels from the coaching staff that they trust him in different spots as he's evolving in that area. The last one, this is Tyler Hero. This is where he kind of came alive. This is the parts where he kind of needed this for his, confidence moving forward. And this fourth quarter was basically, the pull up jumpers, the pull up threes that were once not falling recently, they were falling in this fourth quarter. So as we see, momentum uh, flows right into it. Great lift, great everything. Fourth quarters jumpers for Tyler Hero always just look a little bit differently. He has some bounce to him. So that was one, and here's the second one about a minute later. Pulling up with confidence when Miami already had a pretty good lead, pulls up over the top of him, knocks it down. And these two shots may not seem significant looking at a 10-point lead, a double-digit lead at this point in the game, but it is very significant for what they want to do moving forward with him trying to sustain this type of confidence. So thank you for watching Brady's Breakdown. Leave a comment. Tell me what you want me to discuss next time. See you soon.